So I was on the phone today to a really interesting company who makes some quite cool smaller horsepower tractors. These things are built like tanks. Bob Wright really does know what he's doing. So sometimes, just like this crop, you have to take the rough with the smooth. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all well in these difficult times, and welcome back to the farm. And here's someone you haven't seen in a while. Clove, you want to say hello? Sit. How have you been, Toby? You've been alright, haven't you? Don't forget, for those of you guys who haven't subscribed, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button down below, and you can also as well tap the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified when there's a new video from Olly's farm. So guys, since we did the cultivating the other day, we had almost ½ an inch of rain last night, and if you just have a look here, it's a good job we did the cultivating the other day, because now the field is just completely sodden with the amount of rain which we've had. I'm so happy I managed to do it in the time I managed to do it. And if you just have a look down below, we managed to rip up and cultivate most of the maize stubble, most of the stalks. We've tried to incorporate into the soil, and I'm pretty impressed actually with the job the Pottinger's done. How about you guys? What do you think of the Pottinger? Do you think it's done a good job, the Synchro 3030 on the back of the John Deere, or do you think it hasn't done a very good job at all? I'm really happy with this job, and Clover thinks the Pottinger's done a good job because she's running everywhere. But no, very happy with the job I've done on here, and I was also very happy that I had the John Deere on the Synchro, especially in the wetter parts of the field, because without that extra horsepower it would have been a bit of a struggle. We would have been able to do it, but sometimes it's just nice to have plenty of power to be on top of the job to get it done. And you know, you can have a little tractor, but it will never be able to do a big tractor's job. But if you have a big tractor, you can always do the big jobs and the small jobs, which is quite handy. Speaking of little tractors, there is something later on we're going to be talking about in this video. There is potentially going to be a new tractor joining the farm very soon. A small tractor, quite small, only 50 horsepower, but it's going to be an ideal tractor for a job which I've got to do with it. So keep an eye out for that later on in today's video. I know that some of you guys out there say that the GPS system takes the fun out of farming and you're not doing the job, but I can tell you, when you go and have a look at the job you've done and you see those straight lines, it's just absolutely lovely knowing that the GPS has kept the tractor dead straight on every pass. I really am pleased with how the GPS has worked, and later on in the future, if I was to ever look at purchasing a drill for the farm, I would feel a lot more confident drilling with the GPS, especially with the way the world is. You know, the cost of seeds, what you're selling your crop for. So it would be nice in the future to have a drill, to use the GPS with the drill to get everything perfectly planted. At the moment we have Jeffrey, who's a local contractor, and Jeffrey drives his tractor when he's drilling by hand, which is a nice old school method, but in the future it would be potentially nice to look at a drill and would be able to use the GPS. Would be able to have the crop planted a little bit more accurately on the farm, which hopefully will utilise the seed a little bit better, and we'll also get a little bit better germination across the whole of the farm. So just something to think about there down in the future would be a small drill to go on the back of the John Deere, maybe a 3-metre drill or a 4-metre, something which is perhaps even minimum tillage, a weaving machinery drill perhaps. Hopefully we'll have a good amount of topsoil left ready so that we can come in and plant the next crop. And moving along from High House Field there, we're now onto a field we call Top Field, and these are the bales I stacked earlier on in the year with the John Deere after harvest, and we'll be coming along later on to pick these bales up from this field. We store the bales in different areas of the farm. It's also handy when the animals are outside in the fields to have a few bales available. So this field has now been planted with stubble turnips, and later on in the next few weeks the sheep will be coming back from the marshes and they'll be coming home to graze this top field here. They'll be grazing the stubble off, they'll be getting food from the turnips and also as well from the shooted barley, which has started to grow with the turnips as well. So they're going to have a good bit of food to eat over the winter months here, and we're hoping with this field here, Top Field, and with Letterbox Field, which has also got some stubble turnips on, we hope that the stubble turnips which have grown will be enough to feed them over winter. If there's not enough food for them, we can always feed them some extra hay. It's not the end of the world because we have got a little bit of hay for them in the shed. However, ideally we would like them to just be able to get through this winter with just the stubble turnips. There's plenty of food here for them. I can't see why they can't get through on just the stubble turnips. And then moving through the hedge, from Topfield, we're back onto Stackyard Field, which is just next door to the stackyard on the farm. And the sugar beet here, it hasn't done that well this year, unfortunately. There was a dry spell in June when the sugar beet really started to suffer. We've just got a deer just running over there. And it really did take a hit during those months. And then in July we didn't have enough rain, and we didn't have enough rain in August either. So it's had a very dry year, the sugar beet, unfortunately. Hopefully you guys can see this is where we lost quite a few leaves from the dry summer we've had. A lot of the leaves were growing, the plants didn't have enough water, and then consequently they died off. So it hasn't been the best year for the sugar beet. It's going to be interesting to see the yield this year, to see what it's like. I don't think it's going to be a very good yield, because if you look at the bulbs, I know they've still got a little bit of growing to do from now until December, January time, when these are going to be harvested, but they're not looking big enough at this time of the year. They need to be bigger, so it's probably going to be a low yield in the sugar beet department this year, but that's life, that's farming. Every year is different, every crop yield is different, and you have to take the rough with the smooth. One thing I can tell you as a young farmer growing up in the industry is that something I've noticed with farmers is that they weather very well. They take the rough with the smooth, they battle the elements, they survive on not a lot sometimes. So something maybe you guys could learn from farmers, something the outside world could learn from farmers. Sometimes we have poor yields, sometimes we have bad years, we have diseases, viruses, but just like in farming, it's the will to push on, to carry on. When you've had these bad years like this, that's what makes a difference, and that's what keeps us going, that's what keeps the farms going, that's what keeps societies going. It's just the will to keep going when things get a little bit difficult. And elsewhere on the farm we've got the Hyundai back. Alan Collier dropped it off the other day because there's a new project on the farm. We're going to be reshaping some sheds, so it's been dropped off to do that job. Quite a big digger, 14 tonner, nice machine. I've always been a fan of the Japanese diggers. Maybe one day I will be able to purchase a digger for some jobs, but yeah, nice to see on the farm. And welcome back then, guys, to my workshop. So we've just come in from the farm now, and this is my workshop bench at the moment, which isn't the tidiest. I've just got some Milwaukee attachments which Milwaukee sent me. I've got a grease gun which I've been able to use every day. It's been very handy so far, and this is the impact gun for doing up bolts, undoing nuts off trailers. Quite handy and rechargeable there. So I'll be trying that out. They've given them to me, which is very kind of them. I'll be using them on the farm for, well, as long as they survive, really. So two handy bits of kit there. And then I've also as well just got on here at the moment a reversing buzzer, and this was for the Manatee, because one of the problems which we have in the yard is the Manatee whizzes around, it's on the go, it's emptying the horse muck every day, it's feeding the cattle, and with people around on the farm, because there are quite a few people on the farm all the time, you can't really hear it. So there is a reversing buzzer there which will need to be fitted. It is a Hella reversing alarm, and I didn't actually get this one for free for a change. This one I actually paid for, and there it is. So all you have to do is bolt it in, I believe, to the back of the Manatee somehow, and then just do the electrics. You've got a positive and a negative there. I'm not sure how loud it is. I think it's like 100 decibels or something like that, but or 110 decibels. It is quite loud. But yeah, good idea to keep safe. That's the only downside of not having a reversing alarm when you've got people, is that nobody knows where you are. So at least with this, people will know where we are on the farm with the Manatee. I would like it ideally to have some sort of a switch, so I could switch the alarm off sometimes, but then what's the point of having an alarm if you're just going to switch it off on a switch? So yeah, it's going to have to be on all the time, unfortunately. But yeah, it is all in the interest of safety on the farm and looking out for people, so that really does come above all else. So this is my workshop. This is where things get maintained mainly, or repaired. I mainly do maintenance on the farm, and I try and get good companies or good mechanics to rebuild engines, or do the restorations. And I finished cultivating the other field as well. There's the Honda 4Trax. That's the Honda which I reviewed quite a while ago now, a Honda 4Trax 420. Great quad bike, four-wheel drive, and Honda Japanese, so it's reliable. And then we've got the John Deere here with the fodder beet bucket, which we use in the winter months. This is the KWE Farm Services winter bucket, and these things are built like tanks. Bob Wright really does know what he's doing, and we've had this one for about 5 years now, and it's been very good. So we're going to need to change very soon the brackets. It's currently on Euro brackets, so we've got the Euro 8 system on here at the moment for the John Deere. So we're going to cut these brackets off, weld on a replacement plate, which will hopefully go in between these two box sections here, and then we will be able to put a Manatee hitch system on here, which is like a bar. Very good to do that. We'll probably have to change the couplers as well to the Manatee couplers, and then we'll then be well away. Something else as well which we could do in the future is perhaps put a Manatee headstock on the front here of the John Deere. So that would be quite a nice thing to look into. And here is the John Deere, for those of you guys who haven't seen it in a while. I know you saw it the other day, looking very muddy, very dirty. So very soon, when we get the fodder beat bucket changed, we can take the front loader off, and then we'll have the John Deere back as a normal tractor again, and then the John Deere can start earning the farm some more money, doing jobs such as contracting, which I spoke to you guys about quite a while ago, transporting muck, transporting grain, silage, anything like that, maize, the John Deere can go and do. It will be a good job, and it will be bringing in some extra income for the farm. She'll be paying for herself, and then maybe in the next few years, who knows, we could buy another John Deere, we could upgrade it. But it all depends on how reliable it is, and you know, how many hours it does really. So you know, there's a fine line, there's a very fine line between doing too many hours and not making much money, or you know, doing like a reasonable amount of hours, 1,000 hours a year, and earning good money without too much depreciation on the machine, if that makes sense. So here's the Tanko wrapper, for those of you guys who haven't seen the wrapper, but it will be working earlier on in next year. There are some jobs lined up for it already, and thank you very much to this company called Silotite, who sent me this packet here of Silotite to try out. So I'm going to see how I get on with this wrap when we start using it. There is another problem why we couldn't use it this year, and that is because we had the John Deere carting silage, and we haven't actually got a tractor which can run it. We've got the Massey Ferguson 135, but unfortunately the Massey hasn't got the right hydraulic system, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know. So I was on the phone today to a really interesting company who makes some quite cool smaller horsepower tractors with Japanese engines. So very soon there's going to be a 50 horsepower tractor joining the farm, and if we like it, we can come to some sort of an arrangement for the tractor. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to put it's 50 horsepower, this new tractor which will be coming, and it can go on the back of the wrapper. It's got a cab, it's got hydraulics. I think it's got 2 hydraulic spool valves, which is going to be ideal, a flow and return for the wrapper. It wouldn't be able to do a job such as cultivating, but it would be very handy nonetheless, especially for the Tanko wrapper. And also it's going to be very handy. We have got the 135 there. Kevin at Norfolk Tractor Restoration needs to pick this up, and hopefully it will be restored in January 2021. So very interesting. Keep an eye out on the restoration of that. We've still got the Can-Am here. Can-Am has been great. We've been feeding with it every day. Fed the calves this morning with it. They have their pellets and barley in this bucket system here, which I just have in the back. Well, I say bucket system, it's just some buckets in the back of the Can-Am. But it's ideal. You know, it's an old school way of feeding out, but you know, it's ideal for doing the concentrate runs in the day. And you've just got the, you know, the pickup system there to just, you know, kind of like a pickup truck really. I can put the buckets in the back. So yeah, handy bit of kit. But yeah, it might be going back soon, the Can-Am, I'm not too sure. Maybe we'll look at something else, but it's certainly been incredibly handy on the farm, and we could not do without something like a Can-Am anymore. So just looking down here as well, we've got the Logic weed wiper. Something else as well I was really interested in with the new tractor, the little 50 horsepower one, is I'd like to put the weed wiper on the 50 horsepower tractor. I think it would be better to have it on a tractor rather than on something like the Can-Am, because I think a tractor, especially a small tractor, will be better off-road, and also I can put the control box for the Logic weed wiper inside the 50 horsepower tractor and just leave it there. Apologies for not mentioning the make of the tractor yet. Going to just leave it as a bit of a surprise for you guys. Let me know in the comments down below what tractor you think we could be getting there. And then here it is. Here's the Manatee, which we've recently decided to purchase with Ernest Doe. So very soon Ernest Doe are going to come out. It actually needs a service, and it will then be serviced. It's done 1,000 hours. Well, I say 1,000, it's done 1,100 now, and we really like it. It's got a Cherry Attachments muck grab on the front, as I'm sure you guys know. This actually belongs to Ernest Doe's, this muck grab, so we're going to be getting another muck grab from Cherry Attachments very soon, which will be quite interesting. And I'm also looking at a double bale spike, a twin bale spike with Cherry Attachments at the moment, which is quite interesting for silage and for straw, which is going to be, you know, quite handy, because that way you don't have to get out to change the hydraulic couplers. Sometimes you just want a bale spike without any hydraulics on it, so that would be really handy, a twin bale spike. But no, so far seriously impressed with this machine. Very compact, very smooth to drive with the Vario transmission. Did take me quite a while to cycle through the eco and the manual modes and the engine revving with the transmission, but once you set it up, it is really nice, and it has to be up to temperature as well. That's the other thing I have found. Once you get it up to temperature, it's buttery smooth, this telehandler, and I could not do without it now. And Dad would say exactly the same. He absolutely loves it so far. So I'll let you guys know some feedback in about a year's time, because it's very difficult to say what a machine is like without putting a few hours on it and saying, you know, yeah, this is a pretty good machine. So we will see. Hopefully it's going to be a good machine. Hopefully it's going to be good for loading the grain, the wood chip, the straw, the silage, all of that good stuff. Something which does amaze me with it is it's very stable. Considering how narrow it is, when you're boomed out, unbelievably stable for such a slim machine. I can only consider that it's because it's got such a low centre of gravity, being a smaller, lower to the ground machine. That's how it maintains its stability. But yeah, very handy. And soon we're going to be muck spreading next year with the AH muck spreader, if I organise that with AH, and the John Deere, and we'll be able to do the muck spreading with our own Manatee for the first time, which will be really, really nice. So yeah, really looking forward to that. So I hope I've been able to fill you out on a few things there. Long talk today. Don't forget as well that you can get your Olly's Farm merch. I've got some of the Olly's Farm merchandise on today, which is quite fun. So go and check that out from the Teespring store. You can buy it just by clicking below this video. You'll be able to see the line of merchandise which is currently out. I know a lot of you guys were asking about merchandise for Christmas, so that's where you can go and get it. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really does make a difference to the channel. It means a lot, and I do appreciate it. And keep an eye out for some upcoming videos. There's some new tractors coming to the farm. One's a demonstrator, and then the other one is the 50 horsepower tractor, which could be a long-term loaner. It could be staying on the farm for the foreseeable future. So very exciting there. We've also got the John Deere, which is about to be freed from the front loader and can then go and do some contracting jobs to earn some extra income on the farm. We've got the sugar beet, which is also about to be harvested. Not going to be the best yield, but as long as we get a yield, you know, roll on next year. And then the fields which I cultivated the other day, they will then be drilled with a crop later on in the spring next year. So it's all going on, lots of things happening. We've got the sheep to bring back next week. We've brought all of the rest of we brought all of the other cattle, the suckler herd, the stores, the Belgian Blues back, and they are all back in the sheds at the moment, and they're having their fodder beet. So when we get the brackets fixed, I'll do a fodder beet feeding video for you guys, and you'll be able to see the cattle being fed, which will be quite nice. And yeah, so I'd love to hear as well some feedback on the videos. Let me know if you're enjoying the videos, anything else, if there's anything else I can do differently with them, because your feedback means a lot to me. I can change the videos, I can improve them hopefully for you guys, and you know, I can learn from you guys, and hopefully you guys can learn from myself as well. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.